Okay, good afternoon. Last week I did an introduction to graphic design where we look at the objective of this class. Okay, and I mentioned that we will be using Photoshop, CorelDRAW, and then little of Illustrator for this course. And then we also try to define graphic design, and we see there is a number of artistic and professional discipline which focuses on visual communication and presentation. So we'll be learning how to combine symbols, images, and other elements to create a design. And we also mentioned that when people want to communicate or send an information, they will want to put it in a presentable way. So you want to put in images and graphics and other things so that people can easily get to know what you are trying to communicate. Then we also talk about some fundamental questions that you have to ask, and then we look at the objective of the communication. Yes. And if you remember, we also talk about who you are speaking to. Okay, so you have to take into consideration who you will be speaking to. So if you are speaking to children, you know how your design is going to look like. And if it's an adult, you know how you do your design. Okay. Then we look at the graphic designer toolkit where we talk about the point, line, form, pattern, texture, space, size, typography, color, and then image. Okay. So I'll be sending this slide to the page. We also look at size, and we say that there are some objects that will be large, some will be small. So most of the time, you see most posters, you see that the images that are in these posters mostly are bigger than even the text, or probably is the theme of the program that you want to enlarge. Okay, so it depends on what you want people's attention to be drawn to. Then you increase the size of that. Then we also look at typography, and I mentioned last week that no, this week I mentioned this week that if I'm doing a wedding invitation card, then I will probably use stylish font. Okay, so you have to factor all of that into your design. Then we also talk about images. We also talk about color theory, where we mention primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. Okay, so we say that the primary colors are red, yellow, blue, and when you combine them, okay, you mix two colors, maybe red and yellow gives you orange, you have violet and then green. Secondary colors. Then we say that tertiary colors comes about when you combine the primary color and the secondary color. You also look at harmonious colors and then complementary colors. Okay. Then we look at color symbolism where we say you can define color properties by putting them into two categories. That is the natural association and then psychological. Okay. So if I want to do a design for nature, I may be using green. And if I want to do for Islam, I may also use the same green. Okay. So colors can be used to associate with things. And then we also look at the corporate ID, that is the colors. That every company have their own unique color. So when you want to do design, you have to factor all that into your design. Okay. So that was for the last time. Now I also mentioned that when you want to open Photoshop, you can just click on the start button, okay, and then you scroll to the A section and you pick it from there, or better still, you can just type Photoshop. Okay, when you type it, when you click on it, it will open. And when you open, this is how it will come. If if you haven't done anything before, or this is your first time of opening Photoshop, you will not be seeing the pictures you are seeing now. You will see something like drag images here to start your project. Okay, but because I have been using it, the recent projects that I have worked on are the ones showing here. Please, I hope you can hear me. Okay. Okay. So, and I also mentioned that I don't know if I've said it though, but before you start your design as a designer, when you have been given a project to work on, so for example, you have been given a billboard, you have been given a Sobolo label, any design you have been given, the first thing as a designer you ask is the size of the document. Okay. So you will want to look at the size. I think we did that last Monday. So you have to factor in the size of your document before you even start your project, because the first thing you do is to create your workspace. Okay. And I mentioned that if you want to open, you go to file, you click on file, then you click on new, and a dialog box will open. Okay. Let me move this. Let me close it. Or you see the side. Those of you who are using the new version of Photoshop, when you click, you see the create new. When you click on it, it will open the dialog box. But if you are using the older version of Photoshop, then you have to go to file. You have to go to file and click on new before the dialog box will open. Then you can determine the size. So we have some preset sizes that are within your workspace. So you have photo. When you go to photo, they are giving you size 5 by 7, 3 by 2. You go to print, that's where you'll be getting the A4, A3, and the rest. You go to film and video, you see they are giving you these sizes in pixels. Okay. So let's go back to photo. Photo is 5 by 7. And I mentioned that when your picture, is when the height is longer than the width, then it tends to be your portrait. And when the width is longer, then it tends to be a landscape. So you can decide to do a landscape or a portrait design. And I believe we have seen all that before. There are times the funeral posters that they paste around. Some are landscape and some are portrait. Then we also talk about resolution. Let me go back to the slide. Um, okay, pixel dimensions and image resolution. Pixel dimension measure the total amount of pixels along an image, width and height. Okay, so the total amount of so you have width and height, the total amount of pixels, and then resolution is the fineness of detail in a bit in an image, and it's measured in pixel per inch, so PPI. So let's listen to this. The more pixels per inch, the greater the resolution. Generally, an image with a higher resolution produces a better print image. So if your resolution is higher, you may have a better image. The image will be sharper. But let's remember that as you increase your resolution above 300, your machine may not be able to handle it. It becomes heavy. Okay, and then the size will also determine how your picture sharpness will be. So the first size of an image is the digital size of the image, and normally it's measured in kilobyte, megabyte, and gigabyte. So normally we say that when you send a picture through WhatsApp, what WhatsApp will do is that WhatsApp will reduce it. So if you have a picture in megabyte, you at the end when you copy it, it's in kilobyte. It means that the size has been reduced. Okay, the pixel has been reduced, so you have the image, as we will say, that it's pixelated. It means the quality is no more there. Okay, so if you have a file that the size is small and you have a resolution which is the we say the standard is 300, when you use that standard, you get the picture to be finer quality, and you when you print it, the quality will still be maintained. But once you reduce your resolution, then you have a problem with your quality. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so and I mentioned that you make sure your color mode is RGB. Excuse me, guys. I'm here. you make sure your color mode is RGB, okay? And then your background can be white or black. You can just select white or black. You click on the, you see the arrow pointing down. When you click on it, it will give you an option to select. But for now, just select white because you can change it later. But what I want you to pay attention is the size, is the width and the height. Whether you want your document to be portrait or landscape. Okay, this one we will do it portrait. Then when you finish, you click create. And if your machine is fast, it should load. Okay, so today we'll be treating what we call layers. We'll look at some of the tools, look at text, shape, and we'll also look at color. Okay, at the end of this class today, that's what we'll be doing. Okay, now let me go back to the slide and explain something. Okay, now we'll be looking at layers, and layers are like a sheet of tag paper. Or let me just explain. If you've used an exercise book before, you see that they are sheet of papers that are put together. So they are all in a level. Okay, that is how a layer is. So, for example, if you are doing a design and the design contains an image, there is a rectangle shape, there is a square shape, there is a text. Okay, all of this will all of this will come together. Please, if your microphone is on, put it off. All of this will come together in the same workspace. Now the layer helps you to arrange it logically. Okay, so if you have multiple image within the workspace, you can arrange it so that you know that this one is here and this one is at this place. Now layers will also help you to group your element, so you can group your images, group your text, and group any other thing, so that when people want to design, they can easily know that, oh, the files are within this layers or within this folder. Okay, we will look at that. So for example, if you look at this image, you can see group one. Okay, so we have grouped these animals, goat and dog, in one group, and then you have the background here, and then this tends to be a layer. So the goat is a layer, the dog is a layer, and the group as a folder is also serving as a group layer. Okay, so let's go back and I'll show you. Okay, so you see the side here. On your right, you see background. Now, when you open your project, the first thing you see is a background. Okay, this background you can change it later if you want to, but let's remember that you can see there is a padlock. If you can see there is a padlock there, it means this document is locked. You can't do anything, you can't move it around. Okay, so if you want to make this not to be a background or not locked, you just click on the padlock and it will deactivate it, or you click at the top here where you see the padlock and then it will lock it. You click on the padlock there to remove the padlock. Okay, now the tools that we'll be looking at, the first one, if you look on the tool panel, there are many. I will not be teaching all of them at once. I will teach them when we need them. So a tool that we will need for a project, we'll use it and then you know it. But the first one, which is the move tool or the selection tool, you can see when I send the mouse that they are telling me what you can do. You can use that to move any object around your workspace. So for example, let me look for a picture. Now in Photoshop, what you can do is just to drag the image, just drag the image to your workspace. Okay, just drag the image to your workspace. Now when you drag an image to your workspace, you can see that it has been selected and then you see some boxes around it with a diagonal line across it. Now what that means is that they are telling you to resize it or not to resize it. Okay, for you to resize this image, you can click the corner, one corner of the image. So I'm holding the right top. Okay, then I drag it down. Okay, so I'm dragging it down to resize it. So this will help you to resize. Now, when I hold just one side and I'm pulling it up and down, it is only increasing the size at that angle. Okay, now if you are using the older version of your Photoshop and you hold only one side and then you drag, the picture may be distorted. So you have the size, maybe if you go to the left, you see that the picture is expanding to the left and it will not be original. Now, the ratio of this picture probably is 5 by 7. If this is a 5 by 7 picture. So if you don't take time, you may change the size of the picture. So what we do for the new version of Photoshop is that you press Alt, then you drag, you hold one side of the image and then you drag. You can see that all the size is moving, it's resizing it on all the angles. Okay, if you have the older version of Photoshop, you have to use Shift Alt. I'll try and see if I can put some of these shortcuts uh, on the page. Okay, so if you are using an old version of Photoshop, Shift Alt will let it move at all the angles so that you will not distort the image. If you hold one the top, only the top, and you drag it in the new Photoshop, it's moving at towards that angle. But if it's the old ones, you see that your image size may be distorted. So if you have an old version, you can try and see what I'm talking about. When you drag it, you see that the image will the size will not be like how you wanted it, which we call the aspect ratio. So the aspect ratio may change. Okay, so when you add an image like this, you can see that the image is coming to the layer panel here. Now I was talking about the move tool. When the move tool, what does it do? It helps you to move your element around. Okay, so if I have another picture and let me resize it. Okay, the move tool is able to help me to move it around, resize and do anything. So the move tool is very important in all the things you will do. It's very, very important. Text, uh, shape, every element that you put into your workspace, you will need the move tool. The other tool that you will need is the text tool, which is the T here for today. When you click on it, you see that the cursor will change to some a box. Okay, you can see it's changed. A box and some. Okay, so when I click on my workspace, you see it's giving me a text to type. Then I can type. Let me give it a color. We'll come to color later. So I can type training. Okay. So you can see I can use it to move. I can use the move to move the text around. Okay. Can use it to move the text around. Then the other tool that we'll be looking at is the shape tool. So when you go to the tool, you now let's look at this. All the tools, you see that there is a small arrow under them. There's a small arrow. When you click on it and hold your mouse, okay, it will bring the other options that are down there. So you see that there are more shape inside it. When you come to this, you see there are more. You come to this, there are more. Okay, so each of them that is having it, it means there is something else there. And if you are using any of them, we'll make use of all of them. So you see the text self, you have horizontal text, you have vertical text. Okay, so if you want the text to be horizontal, so I am doing training, you can use that to do the horizontal text. So the tools we will look at is the move tool, that is all the selection tool, the text tool, okay, and then the shape tools. So you have the rectangle. So I can just select the rectangle and then I draw my rectangle. Now look at what is happening. All that I am drawing, they are appearing at the layer section. Okay, they are appearing at the layer section. Now it's very important to understand how the layouts work. If you don't, you may be in trouble. Now look at the first picture I have here. I can pick it and put it under. You just pick it and drag it down. So it's now behind the other one. Now we were saying that the layers can be used to determine the opacity and transparency of your object. Okay, so let's look up here. You see opacity. Now my picture selector, I can reduce the opacity to make that picture more transparent. So you see that it's showing what is behind and it's transparent. You can use this to blend two backgrounds together. Okay, you can use this to blend two backgrounds together or blend one thing to the other. Now when it becomes transparent, it means you can see through to the other one. Now can you see the eye beside all of them? The eye is talking about visibility. So if I don't need that picture in my workspace, I can just click on it and then it will be gone. But it is still there. I haven't deleted it. Okay, it is still there. I haven't deleted it. If you bring the eye, the picture will come back. Okay, for example, this text training, if I take it out, it will go. When I click on it, it will come. Okay, now the other thing that layers help you to do is to do arrangement. Okay, so I can decide to arrange to group these two images. Now let's look down here. You will see something like FX. Then you see add layer marks, create new fill or adjustment, then group. So we'll make use of the group. Okay. So you can the group looks like a folder, so you can click on it. Then when you click on it, you drag your image into it. So it means I have grouped my images. So when I click, all my images that I have grouped will be gone. Okay, so you click on the visibility and the images will show. I deactivate it, they will be gone. If I can decide to group the rectangle and training, so I can press control to select rectangle and training, then I'll pick it and put it on the group and then to group it. You can double click on it and name it. So you double click on the name. So let me say text. I can name it text and shape. I can double click on the group one. So you double click on the text you are saying, and I'll name it images. Okay, so that's what the layer will help you to do. And so when you click on the arrow that is against all of them, they will open up for you to see what is in the folder. It's just helping you to arrange your work. And if I don't want the text, I take them out and everything will be gone. The same with the images. I'll pause and take questions. Any question? Yeah, the way I added the picture. Yeah, I think for the Photoshop now, you see, when, for example, if let me close this workspace, okay. If it's just picture I'm going to work on, I can double click on within the workspace to load the image. But the new version they have done, you have to drag and drop. Okay, so that's why when you open your Photoshop, they will tell you that you can drag images and paste and put them here. But with the new version, and you can even go to file, open, and go and open image if you think you are working on only the image. Okay, then you locate your image and open your image. You open your image. That's how you can do it. But if you want to work on a project where you'll be putting the image inside your project, then you will have to go to new, open your project with the size before you can drag your image into it. Any other question? Please ask the question, especially on the layers. Let me deal with that once and for all. Okay. The ladies among us, I hope you are getting it. So can I continue? Can I continue? Somebody else talk. Okay. So let me go back and open my project again. I'm using a portrait size, so I open it. Now we will look at colors. Okay. So let me draw rectangle by clicking on the rectangle. If you click down there, you can see other options. So let me use. ma- Your speaker is not coming. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. So increase your volume at your end. Yeah, I can hear you. So increase your volume because my end is very loud. You can't hear me still. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Increase your volume at your end. Is any other person having challenge with hearing? Okay. So check your speaker. Okay, let's continue. So I'm going to draw a polygon. I'm going to please put your microphone off. So I'll draw a polygon. Okay. So you can see it's a black polygon. Let me draw a rectangle, and then I'll select the polygon and move it down a little. So before you move an object within the workspace, you have to select it at the layer panel. Okay. So now see what is happening. Let me type training. Can somebody tell me why I'm not seeing the word training? Why is the word training is not showing? Okay. Okay, so the two colors are black, right? There's another reason why I'm not able to say it. Okay, yes. Okay, so if you look at the layers, you see that the rectangle which is on top is covering the training. Some people will say that, oh, I'm typing the text, I can't see it. Look at your layer panel and see if it's hiding behind something. So when I move it up, it's at the top. Now Somebody also mentioned that the colors are the same, so you won't see it. Okay. Now, when I double click, you see the T. When I double click inside it, it will highlight my text for me. Then the color is here, and then the one color is here. So you have the property color, and then you have the color under the menu. When you click inside it, it will bring you the option to change the color. Okay. So I've changed the color. So you can see that it is on it, but because it's still black, that's why you were not seeing it. So, but now it's blue, so you can see that there's a text. Okay. I can. So the way we resize the picture, you can do the same for the text. I will use Control T. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So when you the shortcut for resizing is Control T. Please write it somewhere because you will use it a lot. The shortcut for resizing is Control T. So I press Control T, and then you see that the resize selection is there. Then I will drag to reduce the size. Okay. Now I will click here where the color is to change the color to white because it's on black. So the rectangle is below it. This is the rectangle. If I remove it, you see, and then you have the text. So if I take the visibility off, you see that the text will be gone. This other rectangle, I can double click on the rectangle like how you double click on the text, and then you have your color, and then you can change it. Okay, you have your color and you change it. Now let's pick this color. Okay, so I can now change the text to, let's say, yellow. So that's how you change color. Now that's not the only place that you change color. You can just double click. Yeah. Yes, if your internet is not fast, it delays before it comes. So after this, I will upload the video so that you can go through it again. So you have the text and you can change the color. The other way to change the color is to go down where you see the FX. Okay. We'll be looking at that a lot in the coming days. We will look at that a lot. So when you click on the FX, you see color overlay. When you click on the color overlay, it will bring you the color overlay side. So you can click within that space and then you change your color. Now see where the hash is. You see the hash. There's a number there 43FF11. That is a color code. So I can copy that color code and apply the same color to anything I want. So let me just click OK. Let me the polygon. I can double click on the polygon. Instead, and because I want that green, I can paste the color code there and then it will be the same as the writing. So every color that you'll be using in Photoshop is coded. And if you cannot remember the color, you just have to copy the code and then you save it somewhere, then you can use it. So if you are designing a company color for a logo for a company and the colors you are using, it will be good that at the end of the day, you copy the color code, save it for the company so that they will be able to have the exact color code. So any designer they did give that code to will know that that is the color code of the company. So it's very important. If you go to Google and you are looking for a color, you can just type color code for green and they will give you the color code. So any color you want, when you go to Google and you type, they will give you the code. Once you put you paste it here. So let me double click. Once you paste it here, where I highlighted, when you paste it there, you see that the color will change. Okay. So let me delete again. So let me delete my text, the rectangle, and then the. So how do you delete? You just delete by pressing. So let me draw. You delete by just pressing the delete on your keyboard. When I press it right now, the thing will go. Let me undo. The other way is to pick it. You see that down there, there's a delete button there, down there. You can pick it and put it on it. You see that it's deleted. Okay. You can just pick, let me put in a picture. I open a folder and I drag my image here. I double click to make it active. Then I pick it and then I put it on the delete and to be gone. Sometimes they will ask you if you are sure to delete. Just press yes and it will be gone. Okay. So let me go over again. On the layer panel, you arrange. Okay, so let me pick this picture and I put it here. You can see the picture is here. You can rename your picture by clicking on the name. Double click on the name. So let me just write Mike. Okay. You name your element so that you can easily identify them. Or else if you have a project that have so many things on the layer, you may be confused. Then let me draw a rectangle. Okay. Now remember I talk about opacity. The opacity I use for the image is the same for any other element on the panel. So the opacity, I will reduce the opacity and you see. So you can see that I can now see slightly through the image. Okay. I can now see slightly through the image. If I change the color, I can double click and go to blue and then it will show blue. I can change to any other color and then it will show. And I click on OK. And my if the so it means I can see through the rectangle, it becomes transparent by reducing the opacity. Okay. Then I can go in and do my test. So let me test. Let me just write now in my so this color is so I'll resize it. This is big. I'll control T to resize. Then I'll drag or I'll press Alt. If you're using the old version, press Shift Alt, then it will be at all the angles. Then I can bring it to the on the rectangle. I can double I can click to change the color or you double click in the T, change the color. Okay. So and if I want to move my text, it's selected already in the layer panel, then I move it up and down or move it to anywhere I want. Then this is the rectangle. You can move the rectangle up to fill more space or when you do control T, you can drag it to fill the whole picture or just some part of the picture. Then you can reposition mic and then I'll bring down the okay. So that is how you make use of layer, you make use of color, okay, and then some of the tools. So we look at the move tool, the text tool, and then the shape tools. If there is any question, I will take it. Questions. Mhm. To go back to a previous session. Okay. The undo is just Control Z. So when you press Control Z to take you back. But I think some of the software, the older version, you have to press Control Alt Z before it can take you back so many times. Okay. If you press Control Alt Z, it will take you back so many times. But some of them, when you press Control Z, it's just once. But the new version, you can press Control Z and you can press as many as you want. So if I press it right now, you see that things started changing. So it's just the same key I'm pressing. But if you are using an older version, I think it has to be Control Alt Z. Then you'll be able to get it. Okay. There is Comfort. Comfort, are you here? Okay, I hope you are understanding. Mami Ajua, I hope you're also getting it. Okay, so I think I've ended with what I'm supposed to do for today. Um, you can look for a picture and start practicing because from next week we will start the design. Okay, and what I will do is that I will look for some pictures and get the pictures to you. We'll be using those pictures to do a design. And I believe next week we have to also learn how to crop pictures and all that. Now, those of you who are into the social media, this marketing, yes, Instagram, you have to take this seriously. I'll teach you how you can use it to do your own ad and post from Instagram. Okay. So next week we'll continue. If there is no question, yeah, you can ask the question. Okay, I will load, yeah, I will load it on YouTube. Welcome. Okay, so next week.